Hello, wonderful people. Hello, my friends, colleagues, and network community. Today, I'm really delighted to have my friend and brother, Orhan Ergun, with me, and we will be talking about segment routing and why we believe it's not complex, and we believe this is a technology that everyone should be aware of and start practicing. So I'm really glad to have you again, Orhan. Welcome, and I'm sure it will be a brilliant and fruitful session.
Hopefully, for those who don't know me, this is Orhan Ergun. Basically, I have been teaching the CCI CCD stuff. Probably you may know me also through my website, orhanergun.net. Today we will discuss, as Mohammed said, high level about the segment routing. It has been around for many years actually, and we have many RFCs for that, architectural RFCs there as well. I think 8402 we discussed in many platforms, but sometimes discussing about the technology, whether we should invest time and effort and deploy it on our network is a big decision, and our thoughts, etc., you will hear today. It will not be very deep dive session, and we are not targeting also long session today, but if we see in the interest, please write your comments in the comment section. So if really you are interested, we can come up with the technical long videos, of course. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you, Orhan. Uh, just to start, I was talking to you before the recording, and I told you I have attended a session with as a panelist with Cisco for some of the enterprises and tier three, tier four managed service providers. And we were talking about how to build your next generation network. And we did a small survey at the start, and it was really surprisingly for me to receive that 75% of the audience believes that segment routing is a complex technology. So I said, let me try to have a session with one of the experts in the industry, one of the guns, and his name is Ergun as well, and talk about three questions. SR, is it really complex? And then is it only supported by Cisco, and is it mature or not? So let's today tackle these three questions and why to think about segment routing.
Sure. Probably I will forget those three, but let me start from the
One
first
by
one.
one.
You can
Yeah,
remind others as
sure,
well.
exactly.
Things are complex, right? So, okay. By the way, it is a big percentage that thinks about the SR is complex, but
Yeah,
deployment-wise, implementation, I think they are talking about deployment anyway. So,
yeah,
I wouldn't say SR really complex technology, especially if you understand the source routing. So then things will be easier if you understand why we are having the source routing, what would be the advantages as well as disadvantages, of course, because in design there is no free lunch, as we know. So whatever you do, always there will be some benefits and problems as well. It may not be for your network. It might be really complex solution for you and your engineering stuff. But okay, personally, is it a complex solution? I don't think so. There are many other complex solutions out there, especially service providers and mobile operators, fixed-based and mobile operators. They have been deploying these solutions, such as seamless MPLS, unified MPLS. These are, I mean, although there is no new technology inside it, just way of deployments, clever way of deployments, we can say. But at the end, we have those hierarchical LSPs and all those things, of course, make the solution complex. But when we think about SR, even in the seamless MPLS architecture, it is just one component. So if you say SR is complex, I mean, we can count many architecture in networking that much more complex, of course. This sometimes we say complexity is good thing, and some complexity is important and good, necessary things, right? Let me give an example for this, so you can, and then after that, in which type of network maybe segment routing would be necessary. So that's why we can accept that complexity also, even if they think SR complex. Think about two routers. If we connect them just back to back via single cable, right? They can communicate. The host behind them, they can communicate. But if the requirement now is the high availability, redundancy, you add second connectivity between those two routers to make the at least the link level high availability. And if they are asking later on SRLG type of high availability, you need to make sure they are not going through the same conduit, etc. But you are making more complex by adding even second link. How much extra complexity? Little bit maybe, but extra complexity. Is it acceptable complexity? Definitely, because requirement was there. We know that requirement, high availability, customer maybe raised that, and we have to achieve that basically with the introducing complexity. Same thing. If your network requires for the traffic engineering guys today, as you might know, not just for the transport LSP between your edge devices, like alternative to LDP RSVP, but also it can be used as a source routing paradigm. So you can do traffic engineering. In fact, even with the help of controller, etc., much more advanced stuff you can do, flex algos and lots of other things. This can be discussed, by the way, in separate session. If you really interested, how we can understand, you should like this video. You should also put your comments. So basically, you can do many things with the segment routing. Which one you are trying to do? Which one is for your network? I know. In the past, one of my students, he went to one of the Arabic countries, let's say, and wanted to build a carrier network, greenfield, and we discussed whether he should do. And by the way, this was easily for maybe 3-4 years ago, and whether he should deploy LDP plus segment routing, all those. No, of course not. Segment routing just as an alternative to the transport labeling protocol.
Exactly.
They did this. Today, that carrier network is not working there anymore. He's working in one of the OTTs, but that carrier network still use SR as a transport on top of that. Whatever service they have, service layer is different story. Today, we are talking, by the way, SR is used in mpls or SRv6 architecture. We are using for the a transport layer. We are using as an underlay on top of that, whatever service you will still continue to run. So for me, is it complex? Might be. Depends on the person which you are talking. If they are not familiar, it might be complex solution, really. If they know already, maybe they are familiar with the MPLS, they are familiar with the RSVP-based TE, SR, for them, just known technology, really. That's why not complex at all. If they understand what is MTR, multi-topology routing, a flex algo is not new for them, so they are also familiar. So if you are fresh graduate from the university, even CCNA was complex for us, all of us.
Exactly.
But by the time when you understand, when you learn, when you play with, when you deploy with more and more, things are becoming easier and acceptable. Okay, second question.
100% Organ, yeah, 100% Orhan, yeah. Because as you know, also it comes to the business requirement. So why you go for segment routing? Segment routing, and we know that it started like Spring, which is more like source routing, that you need to have more flexibility to decide your routing destination, not only based on the weighted like the metric or the destination, how to reach to the destination. So if we take it to the next question, is it only Cisco? Do you believe segment routing is only supported by Cisco?
No, of course not. We have standard-based mini RFCs for that, even architectural one. So it has been discussed, actually not very long time. There are many RFCs there. We have been waiting for more than 10 years to become the RFC status, but there was implementation. Segment routing is today, not today, but even a couple years ago, widely accepted. A lot of large-scale deployments. It's not the Cisco solution. We have definitely interoperable solution and deployments as well in the large scale. I know personally many networks, mobile operators as well, tens of millions of customers, their network work on the segment routing, and not only service provider, even the, as publicly you might know, networks, even like SRv6 deployment, not only SRMPLS I'm talking.
Exactly, yes.
SRv6 deployment, even public, lots of announcements you can see those guys in production network they are running. It's not Cisco only, and multi-vendor environment. I know Cisco SR is working together with the Cisco and other vendors. There are many RFCs you can see around there. You should be careful which one is standard, which one is experimental, which one is historic, which one is informational, etc. Very important. Like when you here, for example, 7868 EIGRP, it's an informational, so don't expect the interoperable solution anyway, and there is not. And or Lisp, for example, 6830, for example, experimental. Don't expect some standard and interoperable solution from there. But when it comes to SR, it's not Cisco proprietary, although, I mean, as a name, segment routing not maybe source routing, segment routing came from Cisco. Clarence introduced, and then also take care mostly most of the drafts basically are produced by them. But of course, the other vendors are contributing to those, and definitely it is multi-vendor. By saying that, probably since the beginning, from my talk, you can understand, should you invest as enterprise or service provider? If you have definitely use case, it's a technology that you should look at. It's a technology you can invest time and money, guys. So it will not disappear. There is a good support behind it, multi-vendor environment. There has been lots of solution out there. A proprietary solution eventually will die when there is a good replacement from the standard body. That is my opinion. Think about, I mean, there are many kind of solution like that. So if we give now some vendor proprietary solution, probably here wouldn't be, but in the comments, maybe we can discuss this one as well.
Yeah. And just to add, Orhan, I did a couple of blogs about, I tried to show our community how to integrate, as example, segment routing between Cisco and Juniper. And I know also supported in Huawei, supported in Nokia. But sorry, some of these vendors, maybe, as you mentioned, they have different approaches or different end goals. So some of them, they said, we will support segment routing, but we want to go directly into SR V6. We don't want to invest resources and money on SR over MPLS. They believe let's do directly transported over MPLS. Others, they believe no, SR, let's what yani, for you, let's to take it to another question idea. Some of the use cases I will give to you, and then maybe you can give some hints. I believe maybe it will be really good when it comes to simplicity. Yani, as example, having less routing, less control protocol, getting rid of LDP and RSVP with its complexity. Maybe you can use it also for as a programmability enabler if you want to have your application start programming the network, so you can allow them to use the segment routing SID and steer the traffic as a source routing, and also as you mentioned, flex algo, delay metric. So if you want to give us like a quick comment about each of these use cases to show to our audience how they are, what the benefit they will gain and why to choose segment routing. So take it one by one. First one will be simplicity and scalability.
Okay, when it comes to MPLS versus, I mean, data plane wise, V6, probably I wouldn't say less amount of protocol, because if we accept that V6 adoption is really not that great, still not that great, so probably in that network, IPv6 may not be there. And on the other side, maybe MPLS is there. So if pure plain IPv4 network we are talking about, introducing SR-MPLS versus introducing SR-V6, I mean, same amount of, so either SR for the MPLS or for the IPv6 deployment you need to bring. So less amount of protocol, I don't agree. But the thing about place in the network is important.
Let me explain here, Orhan. I mean, let's say you have your network, which include maybe LDP, RSVP, and on top of that you have your application like layer 3 VPN and layer 2 VPN. If you decided to go for segment routing, you can easily get rid of LDP and RSVP. So you have maybe your ISIS or OSPF, then you have SR to carry the label, and directly on top of SR you will have your application. So in this case, you get rid of two control plane application, LDP and RSVP.
Correct, but I mean, for the transport, you are saying you wouldn't need the LDP or RSVP as an extra, but that's also another discussion point that, especially if you need traffic engineering, source routing, you had that RSVP in the first place, and then for the brownfield network, which is already RSVP deployed network, would you really migrate and from RSVP to SR? We don't see this too much, because the people, let's accept this other business-wise requirements. People has their own other priorities. So they need to make money, they need to generate revenues, extra services comes, lots of things. Okay, fine, maybe simplification of the network at the end is a business benefit you can think, but they should do the priorities first, and they are doing. They are looking at their priorities. Let's accept that. But for the greenfield network, though, I have been talking so far. SR definitely should be considered, and you can start with the simplification. And this is your simpler design anyway should be your always goal. When I said that for the comparing with the V6, SRv6 and the MPLS, where you deploy it, it's important. SRv6 makes sense for the data centers, especially because in most of the data centers, still we don't see MPLS deployments. People don't want MPLS in their data centers. So in that case, introducing V6 in the data center, and especially giving that application level, even traffic engineering support, of course, use case, good use case, and we know lots of people at the moment announced by Cisco, and I think other vendors as well now, that deploying SRv6. But for me, I discussed this with Jeff Tansura as well. On my YouTube channel, we discussed, is SRv6 mature enough? I don't think so. Implementations are not ready, not like SR MPLS. When I say something, I need to back up this idea. So because here, if someone will take our words, this discussion as a baseline reference, so they probably should consider SRv6 more. Is there a work? Definitely, there are so much work, so much people are working on it, clever people working on it, but maturity point of view, no, SRMPLS is definitely ahead, much more.
100% agree. If we take the other second use case, Orhan, when it's come, let's continue. Let's say we have data center and our transport, and we have let's say keep it simple, SRMPLS defined, and we need our application to be able to steer the traffic based. Maybe some application they care more about the delay metric, some application they more require about the bandwidth, a third type of application more concerned about jitter. So how SR we can consider it like more like SDN and programmability enabler.
So for this, most of the time, the global visibility is important, and for the global visibility, not just SR, for the any other solution also, we have been using controller type of architectures like PCE, bed computation element, etc. Global visibility is key topic. Otherwise, by the way, this is today with the 5G, etc. A lot of real use cases we started to see, network slicing, etc. We are talking about now. But when we talk about global visibility, even if they are not the use cases, even same network without partitioning, without slicing, etc., would be used, we can still see problems. Those kind of use cases, I am trying to say, requires those controllers, global visibility, not just a part of the network, but even just a single network for multi-purpose, if you would use, still those controllers would definitely be helpful. Actually, I wrote a couple articles for those, even why the controller for the MPLS environment, MPLS with LDP would be. For the LDP, we had also some ideas like CRLDP, constraint-based LDP, but today LDP is not constraint-based anyway. RSVP, fine, constraint-based, so you can do the traffic engineering. SR, you can do the traffic engineering, but with the help of controller always, those solutions would give us more visibility, better bin packing. So Orhan Ergun bin packing problem, for example, if they type the audience, they will see the problems. Also deadlock issue prevention. So deadlocks. So you are asking some LSP to come up, they will not come up, although you have available bandwidth, they will not come up because everyone attacks the shortest path still. Or priorities. Those LSP priorities will kick in, and some LSP will kick others out from the path, and lots of this kind of issues. I wrote also with giving the topologies articles, definitely controller based architecture will provide extra benefit for the SR as well in terms of SR compared to RSVP based TE. Controller in many use cases, controller would be required anyway.
100%. And as you mentioned, just to add, when you start talking about this use case, I start imagining maybe Now with the service provider, the big telco, they have this segmentation, they have their own RAN, maybe running as an MPLS domain, their transport a different domain, and maybe a third domain for mobile core. And because they have three different domains, they don't have end-to-end visibility. So you need,
Definitely.
yeah, you need like a controller, like as I mentioned, PCE, to take care about all these different domains and be able to establish end-to-end path meeting the requirement not only within one domain but end to end. Yeah,
Imagine,
Technocratic can help you about that. Yeah, and yeah.
correct, most of the mobile operators, their IP network is basically even towards the access. We are seeing the seamless MPLS. It is not a joke. It is really real deployments we are seeing.
Yes, yeah.
So even for this case, how we are designing by using the different IGP domains. When you do different IGP domains, now you lost the visibility immediately.
Yes,
And when there are multiple entry points to those each domains, how even just for the optimal routing, what you were doing, AIGP type of stuff, right?
yes,
Accumulated.
exactly.
In
Yeah,
fact, one of the videos, I think you and me, we discussed this AIGP
yeah,
in
exactly. No, yeah, yeah, we
for the
did.
service provider. That video in my channel, but this video will be in your channel. So people probably should visit your channel, my
Please, yeah,
channel.
yeah.
So this AIGP type of things, but without even introducing AIGP, controller would provide that visibility. And now end to end, those LSPs could be SR signals, etc. So you can probably simplify a little bit, but again, this let's admit something in design. If you are looking for complex solution, you need to introduce the complexity. I have tens of millions of devices. I mean, let's manage. Let's design this with one click. So you can abstract so much things, but leaky abstraction we say, right? So, but behind the scenes there will be so much complexity anyway, and one day someone needs to manage that. Okay,
Exactly. And our job as a architect and as a brilliant architect is trying to hide this complexity. And maybe for end users it will be simple, but for you, you have to you did a lot of layers, you did a lot of abstraction to make it at the end look easy. Even if you try to open maybe like an old video system or a car, you have a lot of complexity there. But for the user, it's easy to drive a car. Everybody can drive a car, but inside it's still a complex system.
definitely.
Yeah. Last question, Orhan. It's another claim also from the some of the people in the industry. The, even this is I faced it myself when I tried to convince one of the service provider. They were building a green field around 4 years ago, and we tried to convince them, let's build it with SR. They said no, we believe SR is not mature. Let's build it with a standard way. Let's build it with LDP and mpls. So I know that now this has been 3 years, and also as you mentioned, but do you believe that SR still not mature?
It depends on the use case, I think.
Yeah,
So when I published my service provider network design and architecture book,
yes,
one of my actually technical editors was one of the largest operators in the Middle East, mobile operator, but they acquired, I think, fixed based operator as well, but
yes,
especially for the mobile side. And I discussed for the FS3 route solution, they deployed SR.
sure,
Obviously, we are talking about TI-LFA, and
yeah,
so topology independent. Though I will publish another video. So for the topology independent LFA, is it really topology independent, etc. We will discuss those things. But
yeah,
so they tried this, but multi-vendor environment. I mean, large scale service provider, they don't want to be vendor lock-in, multi-vendor
sure,
environment.
yeah,
So there was because of maturity. Exactly your question. They decided not to deploy. Okay,
mm,
but even after this two years now, I think I published that book. So probably today we might see more real life deployments for that use case, or even for the FRR use case. I am talking phase 3.
yes, yes,
Uh, Depends on which data plane we are talking. I think SRMPLS, SRv6, I would say SRMPLS more mature, and depends on use case, traffic engineering, MTR, or FRR, and I would probably say traffic engineering more widely deployed at the moment, mature. We've seen large scale, many deployments. That's why I would say little bit, I want to be on the safe side because, right?
Yes.
For the SRMPLS, I will say probably yes, interoperability is not a problem. Large-scale deployments already out there, and many vendors, of course, they have their solutions and investing on this technology. But for the others, I just want to be on the safe side and probably would wait. But people are working on the others as well.
100%. As you mentioned, Orhan is improving day by day. People keep adding features. I remember, like maybe last year, many operators start asking about this for SR traffic engineering to include the delay metric, so to build the path based on the delay, and now it's supported in some vendors. Maybe some features still not supported. You know, for RSVP, you can have bandwidth allocation. It's still not 100% mature in segment routing. Yeah, but it's I agree with you 100%. It's
I mean, they are
improving.
working on it really. For the
Yeah,
moment,
yes,
for example, they are working, but for a long time we discussed beer as an alternative,
yes,
bit-index explicit replication also as an alternative. So people are working on multiple solution, unicast, multicast. We are keeping eye on that, and as I said a couple times, if you are interested, we can discuss those things even more. But let's understand use case based, guys. Even for the RSVP, today we are seeing many networks, they are not deploying RSVP for the traffic engineering purpose. They deploy RSVP in the core network for link protection maybe only. So
yes, yes,
local protection. I've seen this a lot because links are failing more common than not. Okay, at least quick win. Let's deploy in the backbone only, core network, not at
yes,
edge to edge because
yes,
so state because RSVP is not scalable, blah blah blah. So things, other things. FRR purpose in the core network deployments for the link protection. Some people link plus not maybe, but link protection I'm seeing even more. Same thing we can just say for the SR. You don't maybe do today traffic engineering. You can maybe
yes,
start playing with it in the core network or the play
100%.
in the production network. But I am saying that since I am believing the power and the large scale deployment of the SR, that's why I'm saying that SR in the core network for the fast reroute purpose maybe. For the traffic engineering also, you can have a look at that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Thank you again, Orhan. Glad to allocate the time. I know you have busy schedule, and I'm hoping that we have multiple session and we'll keep it short like this one. Just to give a conclusion, so thank you for listening, and please subscribe to both our channels. You will find the best videos in both. So we discussed today, we are trying to relieve some of the myths about segment routing. So we talked about the segment routing complex or not, and Orhan and myself explain. Maybe it depends on your point of view if you believe it's complex or not. It depends on the situation. But even if it's complex, sometimes complexity is required to achieve the end goal. Thank you, Orhan, for highlighting that. We talked about is segment routing Cisco proprietary, and Orhan also myself explained that it's supported now in multiple vendors, and there's a lot of use cases, interoperability, and currently working. And finally, we also talked about if about the maturity of segment routing, which improved over the years. So, Orhan, if you want to end up with some advice or comment or something that the audience should take from this video.
Sure. In this video, we discussed, as Mohammed said, SR, and let me say something about SR. Also, how you can reach me out for maybe a question on SR or other things. So yes, SR day by day becoming mature. It might be complex, it might be simple, depends on you, depends on what you know, what you want to know, what you have in your network, etc. And also probably SRMPLS compared to V6, little bit more mature and more widely deployed networks we are seeing. This was the discussions. Definitely you should learn SR. We will look at the other technologies as well that you should learn. You should invest your money and time. Today, the other technologies also becoming popular. For example, let me give you a hint, EVPN. So, so you should look at these two technologies as a start, and then we will even give you some more advice on this. For the people who want to reach me out, Twitter and LinkedIn mostly I'm using. On Twitter, my handle Orhan Ergun CCD. On LinkedIn, just if you type Orhan Ergun, I think the handsome one. So yeah, besides joke, guys, you can reach me out on these two social media channels. Thanks, Mohammed.
Great.
For
No, thank you again, Orhan, and for you guys, keep learning and keep up to date with this new technology. They are great. Thanks again, and let us know what you are hoping to see next. Bye.